Jerry Abrahams. Sorry.
Here.
Thank you. Cindy Butts.
Here.
Alexandra Dawn.
Here.
Wendy Clark.
Here.
Phil DeFranzo.
Here.
Heidi DeWeingart, I believe, is not with us this morning. Kylie Gosselin. Tim Hodges.
Here.
Kathy McKinnon.
Here.
Commissioner Mascaro Bruno.
Here.
Commissioner Perez. Franklin Perry.
Here.
Sarah Sanders.
Here.
Lisa Tepper Bates. Greg Ugalde.
Here.
All right. Kylie Gosselin. Commissioner Perez. And Lisa Tepper Bates. All right, you do have a quorum for this meeting.
Thank you, Dawn. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order and it's 10:02. Thank you to the staff for this new setting, which I need to get used to it. And I hope that everybody have had a great summer. So I hope that you were able to enjoy that month that we gave you. So you can go somewhere. So we're going to start the meeting with public comments. Dawn.
This is the only opportunity on the agenda for the public to provide comments. If you would like to provide a comment, please unmute yourself and state your name. To ensure that everyone has the opportunity, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Hearing no comments, the public comment period has now ended. Commissioner?
Thank you, Dawn. Next item on our agenda is the report from our CEO.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board. It's great to be here today. I hope you all enjoyed a nice long summer. I want to give you an update about the time to own single family program. It has been a very short 3.5 months, and I'm happy to report that the money that the $20 million that we had originally had authorized under the program has been fully reserved, which is quite a record for that amount of money to be reserved in such a short time. We've received about 650 reservations, which means we have 650 new homeowners potentially in over 100 towns in Connecticut. So there's a fairly good geographic distribution. The great news is that even though the markets are really difficult right now, prices are up, inventory is low. We've been able to leverage these resources as well as additional subordinate resources from across a variety of funding partners, nonprofits, the Federal Home Loan Bank, and town and city down payment assistance programs as well, in a rising interest rate environment, where affordability has been incredibly hampered. One of the great things about this program is that because of the deep down payment assistance, it does provide for greater purchasing power, and the removal or the elimination, I should say, of private mortgage insurance, which is, as you know, very expensive. One of the key results of this program is that we've been able to provide home ownership to folks whose AMI is a good 20% lower than the average median AMI of our regular home ownership programs. So we've been able to provide the assistance for folks at the lower AMI bands to become home buyers. Today, we do bring a request to you today that Hazim will present for some additional conditional temporary commitment authority under the program, which Hazim will go over in a short while. The other big program that is currently running in-house is My Home CT. It is a major resource consumer for the organization at this time. I'm happy to report that we've dispersed the first payments under the program in September to condo associations and municipalities in the state, and we're hoping to make direct payments to servicers, and we're expecting to do that in October. One of the things we had mentioned in the board retreat that many of you attended back in May was building out our research and data capability, and we have continued to do that through our blog. We had a link to it in this month's CEO report. It's a quarterly market rundown, and we're getting a lot of attention as a result of our activities around market insights and trends and just conditions in various Connecticut markets. And a variety of stakeholders have represented to us that they are very interested in this data. And we're being invited to participate and present in meetings across the state for small working groups, towns, regional organizations, legislative delegation staff, et cetera, which I think is a really good way for us to be seen as a resource for this type of information, which I believe is very much needed. On the multifamily side of the house, I want to actually introduce Pat Giuliano. He's our new multifamily managing director. He just started a week and a half ago. It's not his first time at CHFA, but his second time. He was in the asset management area previously, but has also deep development experience with the work that he's done on the private side. I'd like to have him say a few words.
Hello, everybody. I see some familiar names and faces, and I see a lot that I'll have to get acquainted. I look forward to meeting you all in the physical form. The virtual world is great, but well, I'm sure we'll have an opportunity over the course of time to have a few chats and get to know you better. As Emily said, I was here years ago. I took an 8-year sabbatical. I was out in the private sector doing some regular market rate development here in Connecticut with a small developer. Picked up a lot of knowledge that I think is going to be useful moving forward. Very enthusiastic about the staff in place and the senior leadership of CHFA. I think it's in good hands, and I'm very enthusiastic about what we have in front of us. So thank you, and I look forward to meeting you.
Great. Thank you, Pat. And finally, I know several of you have received a letter from a couple of organizations, Capital for Change and the Hartford Community Loan Fund, relating to the small multifamily loan pool program. I just wanted to kind of explain a little bit in terms of our response. So the letter expresses appreciation to CHFA for our creativity and our foresight in developing this program. You know, I don't know how many board members were here or know about this program, but it was launched in 2014 and it was to rehab blighted buildings, primarily in urban communities that were small multifamily between 3 and 20 units. It was renewed in 2017 through a competitive process. It has gone through 2 or 3 funding cycles as a result. We are working with the participating entities collaboratively in looking at the program. We want to assess the effectiveness of the program in meeting its stated goals. And we want to consider other market needs that may be out there and other factors. As we complete our due diligence with respect to this particular program, we will then make a determination about the program and any changes that might result as a result of our assessment. With that, I'm going to turn it back to the commissioner and ask if there are any questions.
Thank you, Nandini. Any questions based on the report presented?
Hi, it's Bill DeFranco. I just was curious on My Home CT, what the amount that was allocated initially. I forgot that. And then how much was the initial disbursement checks in September?
So the initial amount allocated to Connecticut is $123 million. And that's just based on population. I mean, there's a bunch of factors that went into the Treasury formula. The initial disbursement was fairly small. It's around $60,000 to $70,000.
Okay,
However, we've received 2,300 applications. And a big part of the process is establishing the automated electronic communication with servicers about the delinquencies. And then we need to actually verify the data. And once that outstanding arrearage is established, getting to the point of settlement with the servicer, which is kind of where we're at. And so it has taken a few months to get there, but we're feeling fairly hopeful that we can make payments starting in October.
and just a follow-up question on the 123 million, is there how was it decided where to allocate that into, like, was that the same funding that was used for Time to Own?
No, the My Home CT is federal funds
Okay,
resulting from the ARPA legislation. And Time to Own is state funded through bonds.
okay. And I just have one follow-up, more of a statement than a question, which is, as you know, we're a lender in the state, and the excitement, well, first of all, the implementation that your staff did in such a short time for Time to Own was just super impressive. And then second of all is the excitement of what Time to Own did, I think, in the real estate market, especially in a rising interest rate environment, in my personal opinion, made it such a huge success. So I just want to congratulate you and your staff for all of that. It was amazing. So
Thank you very much. I concur.
Hey, Sela and Nani, it's Tim Hodges. I do have a quick question. Thank you for bringing up the letter. I was hoping someone was going to actually talk about it. And in full disclosure, I'm a board member of C4C, although I've indicated that I'm going to resign once we find someone new to fill my seat. But I am curious, Nani, you talked about going through a process and assessing. What does that look like? How long does that take? What's the process for that, or have you guys not even thought about that yet?
No, I mean, I think we're developing the process. So we, I think as as an entity that manages public funds, I have a responsibility to ensure that anytime I re-up or renew or start a new program, that I understand what it is, what the needs are, what the effectiveness of the current structure is, if there are other ways of achieving the same goals. And so what we've asked for and are working to get from the two organizations is really more data to understand who the borrowers are. This is really meant for small investor owners. So trying to understand kind of, what the needs are in those markets. What has the impact been? We're looking at efficiency. We want to understand that. So I think, as an entity that has traditionally been a lender, and that's our main bread and butter, I want to make sure that we achieve the stated goals of the program. So we don't expect it to take very long. We've been assured that we'll receive the data we want to see and kind of look at it holistically with respect to our other strategic plan goals. So maybe a couple months, 2 or 3 months, and then we should be able to make a decision.
Okay, and will you update the board on that as well?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Great, thank you.
Any other question or comment?
Yeah, just a quick question. on the time to own, you talked about the 20% lower AMI, which is great. You know, if we can start looking in those terms, but do we expect any difference in the performance levels, or what will be the outcome as we try to push down the AMI levels?
So the eligibility for the applicants hasn't changed, right? So it's in other words, somebody who may be at a lower AMI band is still going to be rendered eligible or ineligible based on their income and ability to make mortgage payments. What we've done effectively is lower the cost of their mortgage by providing much deeper down payment assistance through multiple sources in some cases to buy down the cost of owning their home. So I do not expect there to be any difference in the performance of these loans, primarily because they're underwritten the same way, no matter whether the person is at 80% AMI or 60% AMI. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Lisa.
Well, and just don't forget that the time to own is forgiven over a period of 10 years. So there's a lot of motivation for people to stay in that home and get that added appreciation as they go along.
Any other question? Greg, you okay? All right. Okay, thank you, Nancy, for the report. So next, we have Hazim. He is going to present a resolution for the sale of the 2022 Series N bond. Hazim?
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The resolution before you is to permit CHFA to issue additional 200 million of housing mortgage finance program bonds. The sale will allow CHFA to raise 150 million of lending proceeds for the first-time homebuyer program and recycle up to 50 million of prepayments. Through September 16, CHFA has warehoused or reimbursed about 218 million and had a net pipeline of about 154 million. CHFA intends to utilize fixed rate and floating rate structures and overlay a swap and expects the closing to occur around November. Citigroup has been assigned as the book running manager for the bonds. The resolution was presented this morning to Finance Committee, and the committee asked few questions regarding the swap, the bid process, the status of the housing bond market, and the selection of the senior manager. The resolution was approved with one abstention by committee. I'll be happy to answer any questions in the board.
Thank you. Thank you, Hazim. May I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll move.
Thank you, Jerry. I have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions? All right, Don, could you do the roll call, please?
Of course. Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Bucks,
Yes.
Alexander Dom,
Aye.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Phil DeFronda,
Yes.
Kylie Goslin,
Yes.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascaro Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez, Franklin Perry,
Aye.
Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
The vote passes unanimously.
Motion carries. Thank you, Don. I heard that Commissioner Perez is having some trouble getting into the call. Don, any you can help, please?
Absolutely. I'll reach out to Kanisha and see what we can do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next on the is an MOU presentation from the Mortgage Committee. Kelly is going to present the MOU.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for inviting me today to speak on behalf of this resolution. This is related to a 2022 multifamily pipeline pilot program where we will be partnering with DOH and collaborating to coordinate on the implementation and review of certain items with respect to projects that are being proposed in our pipeline. So specifically, as it relates to underwriting, architectural review, environmental reviews, and project manager closing related functions on these projects where CHFA and DOH both have financing involved. We provide very similar reviews on these particular items. And so collaborating together will not only improve efficiencies internally, but it will have a dramatic impact on our external stakeholders and the amount of time it takes for them to move from application to closing. We are going to be including 3 different projects in this pilot program. Those are West Hartford Fellowship Housing Redevelopment Phase 1, a 9% application from this most recent round. Cedar Point Phase 2, another 9% application from the most recent round. And Eagleville Green, which is a project being considered for CHFA financing and DOH financing sponsored by the Mansfield Housing Authority and their redevelopment organization. This program is expected to have nominal impact on CHFA staff time and really create a lot of efficiency, as stated earlier. The program aligns with 2 of CHFA's strategic planning goals. Goal number 6, building and strengthening interagency and cross-sector partnerships, as well as goal number 7, simplifying and clarifying DOH and CHFA administrative processes. This was approved at Mortgage Committee, and I'm happy to take any questions folks may have.
Thank you, Kelly. May I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions?
So in the absence of the pilot program, right now, if we have a project that they do a 9% application, right now, there's some duplication between what DOH does and what CHFA does, right? The idea obviously is we don't need to have duplicative underwriting and all, I get all that. But is it the plan then is that presumably this should work and we know how to underwrite multifamily stuff? So seems silly to have all the duplications unnecessary, right? Like similar to FHA process. So is the plan is that assuming that this works and things go as we would expect, that the underwriting still is normal and we burden our clients less, then is the plan that this will then be rolled out as new standard operating procedure? Or is there something special about these 3 projects that mean it's going to be more limited in scope?
I would say that based on the way it's structured right now, once we go through the pilot on these 3 projects, we kind of see what refinements can be made to this agreement that we have with DOH. There's always going to be projects that involve both of our financing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do think that this would come back and I don't know if it would be operationally shift procedurally, but I do know that we would probably present another either memorandum of agreement on future projects to continue it in the same form and function.
So my question is, at some point, are we going to just simply say, okay,
In short,
words,
if it works, we're gonna do
right,
it.
in other words, you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
sort of break
Yeah.
the cycle of doing MOUs for this, it all just seems,
I know.
hey.
Yeah, I think that has.
So that's the intent. So ultimately, it's come up with just a new, but we need to do this
Well,
because.
Well, the legal folks might say they
Yes.
still want an MOU, but.
Right.
Yeah, we make it-
You
Yeah,
know,
we make the MOU more generic in a year and much more like we need to discuss.
Right now, this is essentially, there's a pilot program, so we want to see how it works and as Kelly said, we'll figure out where there are still some friction points that we can leave, and then we'll work with DOH to see if we can put something a little bit more permanent, a little bit longer term in place.
Okay, is it always just 9? I assume it's both 9%, 4% deals? Okay.
Correct.
And so what percentage of on our multifamily deals where we are awarding tax credits have DOH involvement? I would say pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much
much.
right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so it's good that we finally
Large
get around to
percentage.
this. Okay.
Yeah.
There's few deals that don't have subsidies.
Maybe a 4%
sometimes.
deal occasionally, but. for
Right,
the most
like
part, it's
especially
always-
with that reservation deal
Right.
and where they're just doing minimal amount of rehab or something and they're acquiring it, like that kind of deal. We've done a couple of those. And they haven't had DOH subsidy in them,
Yeah.
but otherwise, most of them do.
Historically, but as the interest rates continue to rise, there's going to be increased gaps in a lot of this financing. So going forward, there may be more that need the duality of the sources.
And construction costs. in there,
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Any other questions? All right, Don, can you do the roll call, please?
Of course. Jerry Abrahams.
Aye.
Cindy Bucks,
Yes.
Alexander Dawn,
Yes.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Phil DeFranco,
Yes.
Kylie Gosselin,
Yes.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno.
Yes.
I'm working with Commissioner Perez. Has he made it?
Yes, I have.
Excellent.
And the
Thank
answer
you,
is
sir.
yes.
Thank you. Franklin Perry,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
Vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next is the, Hazin is gonna come back for a resolution regarding conditional financial assistance for the time to own. Nandini mentioned, a little bit about how effective this program has been and, the need that we have to kind of bridge while we go back to the bond commission for 20 million more. So Hazin, could you present the resolution?
Sure. So good morning again. The following resolution is to authorize CHFA on a conditional basis to commit up to 7 million of its opportunity fund for the state time to own down payment program. By way of background, the state made available 20 million for the program, and last April, the board authorized CHFA to authorize the program on behalf of DOH. The program makes available up to $50,000 in a form of a forgivable loan to eligible home buyers. Home buyers are required to secure a CHFA first lien loan to access the program. Since the rollout, the demand for the program has been outstanding and exceeded DOH and CHFA's projections. Due to the role and the impact of the program has on first-time homebuyers and affordable housing, DOH has requested additional funding from the state. According to OPM's website, the next bond commission meeting is scheduled for October 28th. In light of the date of the next meeting and to avoid any interruption to the program, CHFA intends to use its funds to bridge the timing gap. This, because it's conditional, the intent of the conditional is to basically provide assurance to the board that the authorization will lapse once we do get additional funding from the state. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have about the resolution.
Thank you, Hazim. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution? Who was that, Kathy? Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Do we have assurance that we think it will be on the next bond commission meeting? And if for some reason it isn't, can we just use the opportunity funds in this way to cover the loans we've made?
Oh,
Again,
you answered the first
respond
question.
about the assurance. Yes, it will be in the next bond commission, have been told by the governor's office.
Okay,
And then, Sarah, regarding the utilization of our opportunity fund, the way we are structuring this is we are providing an ability for the program to commit more loans, but the funding and the utilization of our dollars will not come in until the program dollars from the state has been depleted. So what we're dealing with is just more about having the inability to commit more time to own. So that's what it is. But if in any event that there's a delay, for example, our dollars won't come in until the very end.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Yeah, so it's somewhat moot, assuming that, because of what you just said, and also if it ends up on the bond commission agenda. But our opportunity, we have a limit on how we use our opportunity funds of 50%, if I recall correctly,
In terms of funding,
in terms of funding.
funding into the opportunity fund. That's
Funding,
the
right, into the
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
into-
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so this is right, this is post the 50%, I guess.
correct. This is post.
Right, so I guess the only question, I mean, move, but if in fact, because our opportunity fund is only 50% of what goes out of our agenda, and if we had to use this money for funding,
Right.
it's gonna reduce.
The availability.
Yeah,
for
they'll
other
effectively,
mission as-
50%, so.
Yes,
I mean, I assume it's gonna be moved, but if in fact that arises, we may want to revisit the 50%.
right. I mean, and I think part of the whole strategy too is, and it's just, by chance, it fell during the period of time where we are working for the 2023 budget. So if in an event that we do need to commit the 7 for this particular program, again, due to delays, assuming that, that's essentially the issue that we might face, then we will have new support for the program to cover and to deal with any short-term requests.
Which we should definitely educate.
Yes.
Any other comments or question?
Yeah, it's Phil DeFranco. I just had a question as far as, so the bond commission request is for 7 million?
No,
To,
the
No.
bond commission is for 20 million. It's
Okay.
part of.
so the 7 million is just basically like a bridge loan in
It's a
essence.
bridge until we go to the bond commission.
Okay.
This is Kylie. I just have a clarification question on the opportunity fund, which I know we put in place just a couple of years ago. Hazim, or maybe Anthony, can you remind us what the goals or parameters, if there were any, of when or for what type of projects that funding could be used for?
You want me?
Yeah, good.
Okay. So turning back the clock, the opportunity fund came about, or was a byproduct, the result from the capital study. So in essence, it was an attempt of CHFA to reclassify and deploy how it utilizes its net earnings. So going back to one of Jerry's questions, as part of the whole exercise, at the end of each year, we would allocate 50% of the net interest earnings into the opportunity fund. And when we were writing the guidelines for the opportunity fund, it is to pursue mission-driven initiatives where credit is not really the main criteria. We can structure it as a junior second position, deferred payment, using it to buy down interest rate. One of the questions that Sarah had during finance committee. And that's why when we were looking at this particular product, and then of course there's a few traps that we had to go through to make sure that it complies with our statute. We felt that this is something that we can utilize. The opportunity fund meets the target goals, and then we can assist the state in bridging the gap.
Thank you.
Any other question or comment? All right, Don, could you please do the roll call?
Yes. Jerry Abrahams.
Aye.
Cindy Butts.
Yes.
Alexander Dahm.
Yes.
Wendy Clark.
Yes.
Phil DeFranco.
Yes.
Kylie Gosselin.
Yes.
Tim Hodges.
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon.
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno.
Yes.
Commissioner Perez.
Yes.
Franklin Perry.
Yeah.
Sarah Sanders. Sarah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes. Sorry
Thank
about
you. That's all right. Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
Excellent. The vote passes unanimously.
Motion carries. Thank you, Don. Our final item is a report that Kelly will provide on the HDCC.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, members of the board. I am presenting a report today to you on the 2022 results for the HTCC Housing Tax Credit Contribution Program. This program was established in 1987 under Connecticut General Statutes and provide tax credit vouchers to business firms that make cash contributions to nonprofit corporations sponsoring housing programs benefit of low and moderate income individuals and families in Connecticut. It's expected that 10 million in tax credits will be available for the development of rental housing, homeownership opportunities, and the rehab of existing projects through revolving loan funds this year. And additionally, CHFA has recaptured about $170,000 from previous awardees related to funds not being committed within required period of time. So that has increased our ability to award credits this year. Typically, of the 10 million available, 1 million is a set aside for workforce housing and 2 million is a set aside for supportive housing. Under this 2022 round, 25 applications were received, and we rated and ranked those based on materials submitted using points categories around project feasibility, affordability, administrative capacity, and goals that they've accomplished, livability initiatives, as well as past and current compliance. For the 2022 round, CHFA will be issuing 23 reservations that total $10,169,897 in credits. This year, we received no workforce housing applications. Out of the 25 received, 1 applicant withdrew their application from consideration. 1 applicant submitted 2 application requests for $500,000 each. And we are not allowing under the program guidelines more than 1 award in that amount. So 1 of those applications was eliminated. And then of the 23 reservations being made, 6 of those will be conditional based on further review of items related to the State Housing Preservation Office approvals, hazardous material survey studies, and the like. Just to give you a little bit on what some of the projects are, 3 awardees are going to utilize these proceeds to create and rehabilitate properties for the elderly, and the remaining will be used for families and individuals. 2 awardees will capitalize a revolving loan fund to provide low-cost loans for the construction, repair, and rehab of housing throughout the state. And 5 awardees will be utilizing these proceeds to create or rehabilitate properties for home ownership opportunities. And just to wrap up, historically, Eversource has been the primary investor at making the majority of the $10 million investments. And we believe that that will be continuing in this 2022 round. And then to evidence compliance with the program, CHFA does require awardees to submit quarterly reports to CHFA as well as evidence of use of those funds.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions on the reports?
I just want, how much does Eversource pay for the, generally roughly, for the
They usually pay the whole amount, so the 10 million.
They usually
Buy all
buy,
of them.
buy
buy
down.
a park?
Yeah,
Oh, wow, okay.
And Nandini and I had a meeting with the director of the new director, and they're committed to continue on with the program.
Okay, and they buy it for $160.
Yeah,
Cool.
Hey,
any
Kelly,
other, go ahead.
Kelly, just as I recall, I don't see it on the screen, but there are a couple or a few organizations that had a recapture. Can you just give a sense of, 1, what were the original amounts? And then 2, is there any background on the reasons for the recapture? I mean, I know they didn't utilize the money, but you know, did something happen or anything in specific?
I'm gonna defer that question, Tim, to Colette, who's our program manager, who can really speak to the specifics on why those funds were recaptured.
Hi, good morning. So both of the agencies we recaptured funds from were administering revolving loan funds. So our revolving loan fund criteria is that the funds have to be spent within the 3-year period. So those funds were not committed, and we've been really sticking to that for a number of reasons. It's our requirement, but it also helps get those funds back into the program and to projects who can use it. I do think that some of the entities that were administering revolving loan funds have had some, slowdowns like the rest of the industry during COVID. So I think they would attribute some of those commitment slowdowns to COVID.
So they did use some of the funds, just not all of them. Is that majority of it or? just-
Correct. So I believe both of them had a 500,000 commitment, and
Okay.
so it's a 3-year period. So that's the amount that was returned, the 97.66.
Yeah. So it's not that because the amounts weren't huge amounts. So if they had 500,000, it was,
Correct.
they got most of the money out. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other question? Thank you, Colette. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Our last item is our consent agenda. If I can have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
Motion to approve?
Second,
Thank you. Questions, comments? Dawn, could you please do the roll call?
Jerry Abrahams.
Aye.
Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Alexander Dahm,
Yes.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Phil DeFranco,
Yes.
Kylie Gosselin,
Yes.
Tim Hodges,
aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
The vote passes unanimously.
Motion carries. Well, that was our agenda. We did.
Can I ask a question, Chairman?
Yes.
I just wanted to suggest for a future board agenda. I really enjoyed our May board retreat, and during that retreat, we approved 3 innovative new programs that I'm curious about how they're coming along. Like one of them was taking non-traditional credit sources for first mortgage applicants to reach certain populations. Another was subordinated rehab loans, and another one was new multifamily options. So I know it's only been 4 months, but maybe at a future board meeting, we could get.
What we are, right? Thank you, Sarah, for asking us those questions so we don't forget. So,
Yeah, so thank you for asking the question. I think it's key to remember that we've launched a major program in the interim, Time to Own, and My Home CT has been a major resource for
Oh, yeah.
consumers. Well, however, we have not forgotten about them. We are making progress on one of 3 so far. The home ownership programs, we'll probably get to, at a different time, but the multifamily program we are looking at, we're considering, we're designing, and you can expect to see that at a relatively soon board meeting, according to the Zoom. So
Very, very soon, Sarah.
coming up very soon.
I'm just curious because, they were interesting. And
yes, we've forgotten about them, and we certainly want to pursue them, but we'll have to pace ourselves here.
Okay, no pressure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other questions for the staff before we adjourn? Or
Yes, just
comments?
a quick question. We, at the same thing at the retreat, we talked a little bit about the Eversource's willingness to always buy and step up when it comes to the bond issues. Could we talk about an update for that, and just if there's any backup program in case that didn't happen? Because it seems like it's always a discussion and they do a great job stepping up, but are there any alternatives if that didn't happen for some reason? It's just we don't talk about it at a board meeting, and maybe we could just get an update on that.
So, Greg, that I mentioned before, this actually is for HTCC. They buy the credits for the state housing tax credit program. And we met with the new director, Tom Dorsey, who was the person in charge of that program, retired. And they are very happy with the program. They want to continue with the program. So for now, I think that because of all the other priorities that we have, we don't need any other changes. We made the intentionally meeting with them just to make sure that they are on board with the program. Any other comments? All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Can I have a motion to adjourn? And if you can raise your hand. You have a motion? and a second?
Move.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
I.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Meeting
Thank
adjourned. That roll call is like.